this keeps getting crazier for the Boston Bruins as once again they come out here in another game and do something that nobody thought was possible, going up here against the Vegas Golden Knights and putting up a very solid game. We're going to be breaking it down, going over how this season continues to be absolutely insane for the Boston Bruins, as well as a report coming out from Elliotte Friedman detailing one trade that is in the mind of many Bruins fans, as well as the Bruins themselves. We're going to bring it all down here in this video. Before we do jump into the ladies and gentlemen, I ask you one favor. That's if you haven't already, be sure to hit the sub button. Join us here on the channel. We're covering everything Boston Bruins throughout the season every single day. You won't want to miss it, and especially videos like this where we're really getting down into the nitty-gritty of what we just saw from the Boston Bruins. But we need to jump straight into this because obviously last night's game against the Vegas Golden Knights was one that seemed like it had a lot of positive. However, coming out from Marco Sturm and many kind of assets and kind of just watching this game, we saw there was a lot to work on. Even though the Bruins put on another phenomenal display on offense, there were many holes in their game. I think the big thing of this game really comes down to just taking a look at how the team's stats kind of piled together. 37 shots for Vegas, ultimately going and putting 6 of those in the back of the net. Was not really a bad game from Swayman when you're considering that he was really left out there by the defense. A lot of goals that really were not his fault. A lot of things that needed to be better by this defense that would have helped Jeremy Swayman here in this game. And all things considered, at the end of the day, it is a ultimately solid game that we saw Jeremy Swayman play. But the big thing here in this game was really the offense. You see how much they were pressuring the Vegas Golden Knights, especially at the start of the third period, coming out here, putting 2 very, very early there to get it to 6-5, leaving that for the remainder of the game. And there were multiple opportunities the Bruins had to take control of this game, take this game home, and lead this game into a big win. Akira Schmid was not looking good for this Vegas Golden Knights team in net, and the Bruins, I said in the video, needed to take advantage of him being there with Adin Hill being out and Carter Hart not yet getting on this team under contract. And going into the offense, the top 6 was absolutely snoozing, and this is the kind of a combination of, had this top 6 been working, had the defense been a little bit cleaned up, what would have been the score? But those are things you look at after the season, especially when you're coming into this game and being able to put 5 in the back of the net from your bottom 6, really. And I mean, I have them highlighted here, the bottom 6 players. You see the difference between them and everybody in the top 6, whether that is the point total, whether that's the plus minus. Everything about these guys have shown why this Bruins team has been and will be able to be competitive once everything gets going in unison. We're only 5 games into the season, and once this does all start to actually click, I think we're going to be in a very good spot, even better than we are now, especially when we're catching teams off guard, catching teams in bad times. And granted, the 2 games that the Boston Bruins did lose, this one and against the Tampa Bay Lightning, they were competitive in those games, but ultimately were not capable enough on defense just yet to lock down those 2 teams. And we're still seeing that gap between these good teams in the NHL, or I should say the great teams in the NHL, and some of these mid-tier teams that are currently around the Boston Bruins. So it is a good look here at this, but at the end of the day, Marco Sturm was not happy with this. I think it's a very positive outcome from this. He had to say that the positive was good. I think Swayman was really good tonight. We don't want to play back and forth. We have work to do. We don't want to play the game just like we did last game against Tampa. It's way too many goals against and easy breakdowns. I'm almost glad it happened because it showed us we have work to do. And once again, Marco Sturm coming out and saying this, I think, is a very good look on this team, especially when you're coming out here and taking control of this team as he has thus far and really shown that this team is not going to roll over. They're not going to go out here and just become one of these mid-tier teams. Marco Sturm is here to bring this team back to an elite team that we have seen from the Boston Bruins before, and these games will not get you there at this point right now, especially the way that they're letting up too many goals. And, it is a very obvious thing I think Marco Sturm said there, but it's a good thing that he's vocalizing it, showing the Bruins fan base that, this team is not going to allow this to happen game in and game out, even if the offense is going, even if the, your bottom 6 is, putting the puck in the back of the net. You need to win these games. If you score 5 goals, you should have a win in that game. And I mean, that's something you learn at the very base levels if you start playing hockey, that, you need to score more than the other opponent, but you also need to get, a good return, I guess, in value of your goals. So I think that Marco Sturm putting in a very good point here, and ultimately this is going to be something that I think game by game we're going to start to see better and better. And against Colorado next game, this may be something that we see once again. Hopefully the Bruins end up playing better defense against this very, very offensive heavy Colorado Avalanche team. And it's a good sign this far that they are putting the puck in the back of the net more, just like against this Vegas team, as well as Tampa. So let me know what you think about that. And I mean, having Jeremy Swayman come in here, you see an .838 save percentage, and obviously that is not good. 31 saves on 37 shots, while being, really the only defender out there at moments on the ice, is a net positive for this game at least. And, he's been playing very good this season. So one game like this where you're playing good, but the scoreboard doesn't show it, that's perfectly fine with me. Now, with this Bruins offense still being in a developing stage and a lot of younger players eventually coming into this lineup, there's been more reports coming out about trades that we've been seeing a lot so far since the start of the season, and especially since the Bruins are at least playing good at the time being. And another one of these players coming out from Robert Chalmers here, courtesy of Elliot Friedman, bringing all of this to light after Brennan Othmann was sent down to the AHL. Robert Chalmers said would be curious if the Bruins have interest. However, there is little room in the bottom six. And this is an interesting thing to take a look at. I'm going to dive into this now. Not too much, not enough for its own video, but we probably will touch on this again later as things do progress. And it does seem like at some point a trade is coming soon early in this season for Brennan Othmann and the New York Rangers. Now, Brennan Othmann's a player I've spoken about here on the channel before, and that's a good sign because having him back in this market is something that goes to show there is a trade availability, available for this Rangers team. After being sent down once again, he is 23 years old. He's looking for regular time on this team, and at this point right now, he hasn't shown the Rangers that he has been able to get there, even though, personally, I think he should. He's a very good player. Watching him play in the World Juniors, there was a lot of positivity coming from him, and a lot of Rangers fans as well, seemingly just waiting for him to make that crack in the NHL, even though it's getting, lower and lower by the day is what it seems like. And going into his stats, as you see, the sheer amount of games that he's played in the AHL compared to the NHL, it goes to show where the the Rangers are really standing on him right now, and at what we're seeing for him and how the Rangers are kind of treating him. He needs to get into the NHL to be developing, and that's kind of a thing that we've seen with a few players similar across the NHL at this point right now, that something along the lines of this, where you're at 22 years old, going on 23, you're at, your fifth season at the end of the day, second or third season coming into your NHL tenure, and you're only playing 25 games, a new spot is something that Brennan Othmann needs. And having this conversation still there really puts him in a conversation of this team adding younger players as they did over the past season. And going back to last year's trade deadline, if you had Brennan Othmann back there and, in that timeline and time frame, you certainly would have seen Don Sweeney go after a guy like him. He has every kind of available skill that the Bruins will be looking for, and is someone that once ready to go in an NHL lineup, he would be there to stay. The offense he has, the defense, everything is kind of rolling here. And, I mean, we've seen a guy like Brennan Othmann be a talent in the NHL, and no signs are showing that Brennan Othmann will not be there, and especially kind of how he's performed at not just the AHL level, but the World Junior level, and even at his 25 games in the NHL. Only 2 assists, but he's not getting the ice time that he would had it not be on the Rangers. The Bruins have also been able to see him before at the NHL level. And I mean, taking a look at this clip, absolutely beating Zadorov coming down. And he's a very quick guy, very good shot. And it's just a matter of time until that gets going at the NHL level. And he will be a successful player here at this level. So I'd be curious to see if the Bruins take a run at him. Let me know in the comments below what you think about that, and if the Bruins, should at least take a run at him or have a conversation with the Rangers to see what their offer would be or what they're looking for. Because it seems like, and, not necessarily their leverage is dropping, but the longer he is in the AHL, the less teams will be willing to put a price tag on him because of them wasting away his kind of early potential prime to become an NHL player. So let me know what you think about that. But we do have one more update before we do finish this video off here, coming from Bell Frazier. And you see the first part, Jeffrey Viel coming into the lineup and having a very good night at that last night. But the big thing at the second half is the Hampus Lindholm still remains day-to-day. We knew that on the 15th, 2 days ago, he was going to be day-to-day. Still day-to-day as of yesterday, and we'll be curious to see if we do get an update regarding his status here at some point today or tomorrow, and when a possible return would be for him. He still is with the team, which is good. Certainly much better than staying home in Boston and trying to recover. So there are, signs pointing to him being back sooner rather than later, which is ultimately a net positive there on that front. So let me know what you think about that there in the comments below. But that is all I have in this video. If you did enjoy, give it a like, hit the sub button as well. I'm signing out though. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.